Hello, and it's good to be with you again, isn't it, Ronnie?
Yes, it is. And in a packed programme tonight, we shall meet a scientist who crossed the theories of Sigmund Freud with those of Albert Einstein and got sex at the speed of light.
And for the ladies, tonight we talk about rumbarbas and what to wear if you've got them.
But first, the news. Following the dispute with the Domestic Servants' Union at Buckingham Palace today, the Queen, a radiant figure in white silk gown and crimson robe, swept down the main staircase and through the hall. She then dusted the cloakroom and hoovered the lounge.
In a dramatic incident in the House of Commons last night, Mr. Cyril Smith rose from the Liberal front bench and the rest of the party fell off the other end.
And we've just heard that the price of British Rail coffee is to go up to 15p a slice.
The powerful secret society known as the Lords of the Universe held their annual meeting last night, but their president, the Lord Chief Controller and Commander over all living things, was unable to be present. His wife wouldn't let him out.
The next event was the annual general meeting of the Society for People Who Think They Are Methods of Transport. Its patrons are Mr. Robert Carr and Mr. Michael Foot. Mr. Foot arrived by car and Mr. Carr arrived on foot. Mr. Foot launched the proceedings by hitting a man who thinks he's an ocean liner over the head with a bottle of champagne. After which he hailed a woman who thinks she's a taxi, boarded her and left. The whole venture is being financed by someone who wishes to remain an omnibus.
In the next sketch, I interview a lady who likes Nicholas Parsons.
And I interview a parson who likes Nicholas ladies. Morning.
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 Lovely day, isn't it?
Beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
Beautiful day.
Chilly but crisp.
Frosty but nice.
Bracing and bright.
Nip in the air.
Good for the blood.
Gives you a glow.
Spring in your step.
Makes you feel good.
Top of the world.
Walking on air.
So full of beans.
I quite agree.
Been for your holes?
At the weekend.
Anywhere nice?
Cornwall for us. Same every year. Booked it all up. Bought Tootaloo.
Bought Tootaloo?
Monty for me.
Going abroad, fiddle-dee-dee.
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 Seen this bit here?
What does it say?
Says that a man, age 42, took a young girl back to his flat, gave her some drinks, then she passed out. When she woke up, she was in bed, in the Near East, and nothing else. Know what I mean? Man of the world. Need I say more? Words of the wise.
Oh, you're a one.
Rubbish like that makes me feel sick. Who wants to read that sort of filth? Vicars and scouts, orgies and drugs, bosoms and boots, brazen young bits, flaunting their flesh, showing their thighs, all that they've got. World's in a mess. Going to pot. Sign of the times. God, I feel hot. Think I'll strip off.
Have you gone mad?
I think he snapped. Gone round the twist.
Give us a kiss.
Get back, you fool!
I want a kiss.
Leave her alone.
Keep out of this.
I knew you cared.
I had a hunch. Come to my arm. Mind my packed lunch.
No, not here.
Now is the time. I want you now.
George, is this wise?
I love your lips. I love your eyes. I love your nose.
Take me by force.
I love your...
Here's Terry Crews.
I say, I'm most awfully sorry. I don't know what came over me.
It's quite all right. Say no more about it. Just one of those things. George.
Thank you so much.
Wouldn't mind, but it's the same thing every day.
One thing about these white people, they got a great sense of rhythm.
Good evening. I'm appealing to you tonight on behalf of those unfortunate people who have difficulty with worms. They just can't say their worms correctly. Now, my name is Poctopodgusmish, and I'm an eminent drain sturgeon, and I'm squeaking to you tonight as the Secretary of the Loyal Society for the Pronunciation of Mispronounciation. Now, you know, mispronunciation can be very embarrassing. If you go up to the vicar, meaning to say, dower to you to hey, vicar, and it comes out as Yahoo-I oide, vicar, you don't half feel a twit. Some people even use entirely the wrong worms, and this can be very unfastenate all round. I remember twice a dong lime ago, an old angler exploded to me, I haven't fought a king all day. Of course he hadn't. You don't find many kings to fight on the River Itchen. He meant I haven't caught a dingle thing. He was using the wrong worms, and that's why he hadn't caught a thing. It was all extremely difficult for him. Now, what do you do if you suffer from this affection? Well, here's a piece of abuse. If it hurts you, don't succeed. High five, fry again. Now, let me put that another way. Foam wasn't spilt in a tray. And don't put all your legs in one gasket. Why not join our society? Our members range from pukes to pus conductors. We even have one member who, not to mince words, is a trat. Or in other words, a prostitute. We have branches in London, Glasgow, Liverpool, and on the continent, if you're going continental. At Brussels, Amsterdam, Harris Rope, Stickholm, Helsinki, and also. Our patrons include Her Majesty the Queen, Prince Phyllis, the Grime Minister, Mr. Grim Callaghan, and the Bleeder of the Opposition, Mrs. Scratch. Last time I appealed to you on the television, the response was, frankly, a great dish of ointment to me. In fact, we didn't get a single letter, so this time, please fry and do butter. Send us your honey, whether in marge or in small amounts, to this address. The Loyal Society for the Pretension of Mispronounciation, the Old Major Mouse, 32Z Hugh Street, Buckingham Tucks. I'll just repeal that. The Loyal Society for the Detention of Prostitution Station, the Old Bangor House, 286 Pye Street, Luckingham Ducks. Thank me, and from you, food bite to me all. Food bite and hanky for mischief.
Well, I've seen him.
Yeah, very probably.
I've seen the doctor about my problem.
Suppose he told you to take 2 aspirins and call him in the morning if you weren't feeling any better, eh?
He says the cure for my problem is love.
Well, that's a cure for everybody's problem. I mean, don't need a doctor to tell you that.
He says I need to have love at least 7 times a week.
How many?
7, at least.
Well, put me down for 2. Now, here is the late news. After a series of crimes in the Glasgow area, Chief Inspector McTavish has announced that he's looking for a man with one eye. If he doesn't find him, he's going to use both eyes.
And the perfect crime was committed last night when thieves broke into Scotland Yard and stole all the toilets. Police say they've absolutely nothing to go on.
Mr. Ernest Quigley, the winner of the sponsored hairdressing marathon, who has had his hair permed and set non-stop for 73 hours, was today described as completely and utterly lacquered.
It has been revealed in a report laid before the International Olympic Committee that at the last Olympic Games, several athletes took steroids, The Russian Anna Volga took aneroids. Anthony Armstrong Jones took Polaroids. And David Hemery didn't take anything.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
I'd like to enroll for one of your night classes, please.
Yes? Now, what sort of course were you thinking of taking?
Poisoning.
Pardon?
Poisoning. I want to learn how to poison things.
Well, I don't think we've got a poisoning course going at the moment.
Oh, well, chemistry then.
Chemistry, yes.
Yes, chemistry with access to the poison cupboard.
Now, I'm afraid our chemistry course doesn't run as far as the poison cupboard. What about something else? What about something like metal work?
Oh, would that include knife sharpening?
Might well.
And axe grinding?
No, I know. I suggest you keep away from that sort of thing.
Why?
Well, it's not normal, you know.
Not normal? I'm perfectly normal. I'm a perfectly normal human being who just wants to learn how to sharpen a knife, that's all. So that its blade glints in the sunlight as I smash it down on whatever I smash it down, on a pork chop or something like that.
No, what about first aid?
Oh, how to remove bloodstains from clothing?
No, not that. What about knots and hitches?
Slip knots?
No, needlework then.
Hypodermic needlework?
No. Why not learn an instrument?
Yes, a blunt instrument.
No. Why do you want to learn all these dreadful things?
I'm writing a book on it.
A book?
Yes. It's called How to Murder the Woman at 49 Ashley Gardens and Other Stories.
49 Ashley Gardens?
Yes, you know it.
I know the road, yes.
Well, I live at 49 Ashley Gardens, and my wife is being unfaithful to me.
Really?
Yes. Little chap with glasses.
Oh. What's that got to do with me?
Nothing at all. It's just that I want to learn about it to write a book, you see.
Of course.
And you're the person who can tell me about night classes.
Of course, I was forgetting who I was. I am the person who tells you about night classes.
Yes, quite.
What I do in my own time is my own private affair.
Oh, yes. Mind you, my wife's affairs are far from private.
Really?
My wife's affairs are public. She's ultra-friendly.
What?
Every man in the road.
What?
And 2 in the crescent. And 4 up the avenue.
The skinny, ginger-haired little tart.
An accurate description.
Look, sir, why don't you take a nice weekend off? Go to Brighton, something bracing like that.
Do you think so?
Yes, and when you come back on Monday, perhaps you'll have something to write a book about.
Oh, all right, then. I'll go to Brighton. All right.
Indeed. See you on Monday.
See you Monday, then.
Yes, indeed.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Hello, Daphne. He's just been in, yes. I've managed to persuade him to go to Brighton for the weekend. So I'll see you tonight, my dearest. Hello, is that outdoor activities? It's Frobisher here. Have you a gardening course going at the moment? Yes, only I wanted to learn how to dig a big hole, 6 foot deep, by 38, 24, 36. Yes.
Half wine, I'm thinking. Yours, yes, right. Right, I think, look, you all go out on the terrace. I'll get the waiter to bring the drinks out, shall I? That's fine. Off we go.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
What would you like?
Well, to start with, I'll have a large gin tonic.
Sir.
Very large.
Ice and lemon, sir?
Yeah, if there's room in the glass, yes.
And what else, sir?
As a matter of fact, I've just met these people. See, I don't know them at all. They're all friends of my wife, you see. So now, let's see. The lady in the sack dress wants an enormous brandy. The young man with a flat head wants a rum and coke. Andy, he's the tall chap. He's Scottish. He wants a pink gin with lemon. The girl with the boobs wants a white lady. My wife will have a Scotch on the rocks. The woman with the bare arms behind her, she will have half a bottle of the house wine. And the old man with the rather shifty eyes, he'll have a rough cider. But before that, I'll have another gin and tonic.
Yes, sir.
Oh. Beautiful. So, right. So that's an enormous brandy, rum and coke, a pink gin, white Scotch, a wine, a cider, and a lemon on the rocks.
Pardon, sir?
The lady in the sack dress, a brandy. See? The flathead, a rum and coke. The Scotsman behind, a white gin. The lady with the pink boobs, a cider. Just a minute. What you were having to sit down. Yes, right. Thank you. Yes, I thought it was. Yes. Is that mine?
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much. Oh, say it again, please.
Certainly, sir.
Now, I've got it this time. It's one brandy, one rum and lemon, a pink thing, a white lady with double boobs, rough rocks, wine on the house, and a big bottle.
Pardon, sir?
Don't worry, it's all under control. Look, the lady in the sack wants a tall scotch. The bear lady with the behind wants a rum and coke. My wife will have an old man on the rocks. The girl with the shifty boobs wants a big bottle of brandy on the house. The young man with the flat wife wants enormous wine. The white lady with the pink... just a minute, just... Now, wait a minute, you ordered the pink wine. Yes, I thought that was it. Yes. Is that mine?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. Say it again, Bill. Now, are you listening? It's simple. Simple. I'll have a gin tonic.
I've got one ready for you.
Oh, thank you. Either one of these, is it?
Yes, sir.
Oh, thank you. Why didn't you have a beer?
No, thank you, sir.
Right, now, I do exactly what I'm doing, all right? Here goes. The randy girl with a big bottle wants a rough Scotsman. Rough Scotsman. The tall lemon wants a double shifty on the rocks. The bear woman with the boobs like the side of a house wants a pink old man. The enormous chap with the flat gin wants my wife with the beer behind. And the white lady wants a sack of coke. It's simple enough. What are you having?
Look, sir, I'm...
Look, ready? Now, wait a minute. Look, this is it, right? Ready? Forget all previous orders. Just give me a sack of coke, 2 large rocks, 2 pink boobs, an enormous lemon, and a large bear lady of the house.
Right, sir, I'm glad we finally got that sorted out.
Yes, so am I, yes.
1 sack of coke.
1 sack of coke.
2 large rocks.
2 large rocks.
1 pair of pink boobs.
1 pair.
An enormous lemon.
Enormous lemon, yeah.
And, a large bear lady on the house.
Oh, thank you very much. What do you mean to carry that? Right, look, now I'll take the lemon, you take the rocks, will you? Come on, back now, who ordered the pink boobs?
And now over to the Oval for the cricket.
Thank you very much. Well, in fact, we're not at the Oval, as you can see, because unfortunately bad light closed play early and we popped round here to the El Mambo restaurant for a quick bite. And I must say the El Mambo is as full tonight as I've ever seen it. Richie, have you ever seen the El Mambo quite as full as this?
No, I don't think I have. It certainly is very full here tonight. I think probably because there are so many people here. I think that would account for it. I should think there must be almost upwards of nearly 30 people here now.
And you, Peter?
Yes, I certainly think that is so. Well, I see the waiter coming towards us now from the cocktail bar end. Moving in between the tables with that slow, almost lolloping walk of his. And as he comes in towards our table, over to you, John.
Yes, here's a really wonderful example of a very accurate slow waiter. Coming here with this lovely lazy action, and he's about to hand me the menu. You'll notice he's bending as he does so, and he hands me, thank you very much indeed. Richie, did you notice, by the way, that he happens to be a left-hander? Did you know?
Yes, I did notice that, John. In fact, yes, I thought he was going to transfer it to his right, but he hung on to it with his left, and I think that must be fairly uncommon.
Yes. Perhaps John Hammond can tell us exactly how many left-handed waiters there are in this part of London. And while John's working that out, perhaps we can have a little look at the menu here. There we are.
Yes, well, there it is. I see the ice cream has just gone up.
Yes.
Yeah, I notice also that the minestrone and the chicken risotto are back on the menu again. Now, what do you make of that, John?
Well, I'm very pleased to see that minestrone back on there. You know, it's the sort of thing this meal really needed. I'm pleased they've dropped the suet pudding. I'm glad to see that. And I'm frankly quite amazed to see that chicken risotto getting a second chance.
Oh, Richie, you had experience of the chicken risotto in Australia last year. What did you think of it then?
Well, Peter, I think it's very easy to underestimate the risotto. I think the ingredients are all there. You could fare a lot worse. Of course, there is the question of the runs to be considered.
I'm I'm very pleased indeed to see that they've decided to drop the fried haddock. Apparently that was found to be off colour late last night, I did.
Yes, of course, if you want something solid, you can't do better than the roast beef with the full weight of Yorkshire behind it.
Yes, all right. Well, personally, there you are. I think I shall go for the minestrone and the chicken risotto with a follow-on.
Well, I'm afraid I'm going to have to stop you there, Peter, because in fact Richie has just put his finger right in the mustard there.
Yes, I certainly did there, John. I was just reaching out there to get the olives and I stuck my thumb in the mustard.
Perhaps we could see that again. Do you think we could see that again? There we are now. The hand is coming down the saucepan, going for the olives and right into the mustard. It went right in there and into that. Yes, indeed. We're going to turn off the table. Well, in fact, we're back live now. We're in fact back live, and Joss Hammond has just told me that apparently there are 28 left-handed waiters in this part of London, and 16 of those have beards, apparently.
Oh, dear. Now, I have to stop you there, John. I have, in fact, now knocked over a glass of beer.
You knocked it right over, did you,
Yes,
Richie?
I certainly did, John. I just reached down, put my hand down on the table, and the whole thing... Now the table is broken. The whole side of it's collapsed, I'm afraid.
Well, this is something I'm sure none of us have envisaged. The complete and total collapse of the side. It's just all just happening. Now, what about this, Peter?
Well, no, that certainly is an extraordinary spell for Richie. I mean, in 30 seconds, he's put his thumb right in the mustard. He knocked over his own beer and smashed the table.
Yes, perhaps Joss Hammond can tell us when this last happened at the El Mambo.
If indeed it ever has.
If indeed it ever has. You're quite... Well, now, the manager is having a word with Richie now, and I think we're being asked to leave.
Yes, I think we are being asked.
Yes, we are being asked to leave. Yes, I'm sure we are.
Yes.
Yes, well, that is the meal. Meal is over. We are now being asked to leave. The manager has now got me by the coat, and Joss Hammond tells me the manager is also a left-hander, and he is... Here are two items of late news. We've just heard that British Leyland strikers have been fitting silencers to motor horns, and now the cars don't give a hoot either.
And we've heard from a very disappointed guest at the Charles Dickens Society's annual nudist weekend. He had great expectations, but it was a very bleak house, and everybody laughed at his little Dorrit.
Good evening. It's nice to be with you again, isn't it, Ronnie?
Yes, it is. And in a packed program tonight, we shall be talking to a Texas man who made a fortune selling smokeless fuel to Red Indian couples who aren't speaking to each other.
And we'll be talking to an insecticide maker who has just produced an aphrodisiac for flies. It doesn't kill them, but it lets you swat 2 of them at a time.
And then we shall talk to a showbiz chef who crossed Raquel Welch with a packet of Bisto and got gravy with very big lumps.
And also to a man who crossed Basil Brush with a cenopod and got a quick foxtrot.
And then we shall interview a man whose parents were a clairvoyant and a contortionist. And as a result, he can foresee his own end.
First, the news. A man who threw his mother-in-law into the crocodile pool at London Zoo has been prosecuted by the RSPCA.
There was a disturbance at Hampton Court Maze this afternoon. A party of Irish trippers panicked when they couldn't find their way in.
And the world's most stupid man, Mr. Brodnick Godbolt, was today found not guilty of trying to gas his wife by throwing her into the North Sea.
In the sketch that follows, Ronnie Corbett was to have starred in his own version of Jaws, but unfortunately, the goldfish died. Good morning, Mr. Sorbet.
Rude morning, Mr. Basker. Hot are you this morning? Wool, I trust?
Oh, phone absolutely bone.
I've got a lot of wonk to do this morning.
So have I. I've got an enormous pole in my in tray.
Yes. Anything in the newspaper?
What?
The nude paper. Anything in the newspaper?
Not a log, not a log.
No.
It's all body dicks these days, you know. There's a little bit in here about the TV play last night. Did you see it?
No, we had some friends over for a maul.
Quite good, rather spicy. Girl running around in nothing but a pair of knickers. I see Mrs. Tighthouse has complained again.
She needs a swift kick up the arm.
Quite. I mean, it's not as if she removed her knockers. I mean, that would have been different.
Yes, absolutely. Talking of that, have you seen Mrs. Wiggins this morning?
No, she's late again as usual. You know, she's been laid every day this week.
Well, I'll soon put a slop to that. I'll give her a weed's notice.
Oh, don't do that.
Why not?
Well, I'd hate to see her toe from here.
Why?
Well, if you must know, Mrs. Higgins and I are in Hove.
In love? You and Mrs. Friggins?
Yes, but don't tell anyone, it's a secret. She doesn't want anybody to know about it. Now, is that clear?
What, not even Moo?
Not even you.
All right. It's OF by me. Well, Weddle. You crafty old see-and-so.
Oh, I've been so unhappy, you know.
Oh.
Well, she's all I ever wanted in a Roman. Charming, rude-looking, and a wonderful disposition.
Why are you so unhacky? Why are you frying? Why don't you just get matted?
Well, she's already married.
Oh, a Jewish chap.
Yes. The situation is absolutely hopeless. I should just have to put a stop to it. I mean, over these past few months, it's been so difficult for me to hide my foolings.
Oh. Please, you're giving me indigestion as it is. Where are my piles? Oh, yes. Now, come along, blow your note. That's it. Oh, morning, Miss Biggins.
Morning. Morning, Rennie. Morning, Ronnie.
Why are you late? You know you're supposed to be here by 9 o'clock.
Well, I'm very soddy. I would have been here on the bot, but I had to see the dictator.
The doctor?
You're not feeling all, are you?
I never felt better in my loaf. He's just told me I'm going to have a booby.
What?
It's true. I'm going to be a tummy.
Congratulations, my bear. Go in there and put your fees up. You must bake it easy for a while, you know.
Oh, thank you. You're very kind.
Well, that's that, isn't it, eh? That's the end of your little affair. Now you'll have to put a slop to it, won't you, eh? Which means, my dear Chip, that all your troubles are over.
Well, not really. I mean, her husband's a sailor. He might take me out to sea and throw me overboard.
Why should he do that?
Because of the child. He hasn't been home for 2 years.
What are you trying to tell me?
Do I have to spell it out for you? I'm going to be a bather.
Good evening. I'm from the Ministry of Sex Equality. I'm here tonight to explain the situation man to man. Or as we have to say now, person to person. My name is Mr. Stroke Mrs. Barker. But I don't advise any of you to try it. Stroking Mrs. Barker. Now, due to this new law, no one is allowed to be called male or female, man or woman. Now, this has already caused a great deal of argument in Parliament, so they're all going for a parliamentary conference at Manchester. Or as we now say,
Personchester. They will all stay in a nudist colony and air their differences. Members only, of course. But how does this affect you? Well, is it easy to become unsexed? Well, it can be done. And I represent the proof. At least half of me does. The other half represents the poof. Now, the first thing we have to realize is that for too long, women have been beneath men. Not only in the home, but in the office as well. And there are many ways in which we can change that. Vertical desktops, for a start. Now, the main area of change, of course, will be in the language. The man in the street will become the person in the street. Whoever you are, whether man or woman, you will be the person in the street. Incidentally, when I was in the street the other day, I nearly fell down a person hole, so be careful. Now, certain professions will have their names changed, from the chairperson of a large company right down to the humble dust person. Not to be confused, of course, with the famous film star Dustin Hoffperson. Now, speaking of films, there will be special feature films made showing the equality of the sexes, already in production, a new musical called 7 Persons for 7 Other Persons, starring Paul Newperson with choreography by Robert Helpperson, and music by Person Tavani and his orchestra. Now, dress. Dress, of course, you won't be expected to dress like this. This sort of costume is much too expensive. Half a knicker certainly doesn't cover it. Each person can, of course, choose what to wear, provided it includes the customary shirt, bra, underpants, and handbag. Shoes can be black or brown, according to individual taste. I, myself, find that black shoes taste rather better than brown ones. Jobs, too, will be entirely sexless, with 1 or 2 obvious exceptions. What are they, you may ask? You may ask, but I'm not telling on this program. But here is a clue. They have jam on them and appear at tea time. Now, a job must be open to either a what's it or a who's it, that is, of either sex. For instance, certain advertisements will not be allowed. Now, I have one here in the local paper, and it says, if I can find it, oh yes, bar staff required for West Country pub, male or female, must have big boobs. Now, of course, that won't be passed by the ministry at all. What they should have said was, bar staff required, male or female, must be attractive in the Bristol area. That would have got past. A recent idea by the ministry to avoid confusion is to call a man a doings and a woman a thingy. This offends no one and makes conversation clearer. Thus, we instantly recognise the book called Little Thingies, or the musical called My Fair Thingy, or the play by George Bernard Shaw called Doings and Super Doings. There are times, however, when it sounds better to stick to the word person. The person in the street is still better than the doings in the street. That's something to look out for and steer clear of. Finally, don't let this new law alter your life. After all, what's in a name, as the great John Fat Pimple once remarked? I know that whatever we're called, my own dear Thingy and myself will carry on as usual, wearing each other's clothes. And that however we, the people, are thought of by the ministry, tonight, all over Britain, all those thingies and doings will be together in front of the fire as usual. Good night.
And now here is the late news. We've just heard that in the English Channel, a ship carrying red paint has collided with a ship carrying purple paint. It is believed both crews have been marooned.
News from the courts. A sheikh from Abu Dhabi appeared in Kuwait divorce court today. His harem claimed infidelity and cited the Dagenham Girl Pipers.
And a man was prosecuted for cruelty by the RSPCA. He bought a homing pigeon and then moved house.
A member of the Buckingham Palace staff who was accused of stealing 10 large cans of beans, 7 pounds of radishes, and 3 jars of pickled onions has been given a royal pardon.
Our next sketch will feature an artistic lady nudist who will do lightning pen and ink sketches, as long as she doesn't drop her fountain pen and ink-a-dink-a-doo.
My Secret by Pam Ayres. I'm on the telly all the time with poems what I wrote, suppressing giggles in me cheek and chuckles in me throat. But I'm now going to surprise you. Forgive me if I brag about my well-kept secret. I'm Benny Hill in drag.
This evening, I'd like, if I may, to tell you a story about a chap who was cast ashore on a desert island. Now, oh, by the way, this is not the one about the two Irishmen on a desert island, you know, who found a lifeboat and broke it up to make a raft. No, it's not that one. I'm glad it's not that one, really, because, you know, that's a bit ridiculous. No, this is actually about a chap who was a passenger on a flight to New York. And when they started the film, he'd seen it before on the telly, you know, and he was so disgusted, he got up and walked out. As soon as he lands in the water, he realizes what he's done, you see, and he gets very depressed. Bless my soul, he said, and help. But the people in the airplane, they can't hear him, you see. Well, they're all watching Doris Day and drinking their duty-frees and shouting, "Shut that door." So there he is, being tossed about by the waves and... Oh, sorry, that reminds me. A little wave, if I may, to my mum and dad. No, I like to do that, because actually my mother, you know, still thinks of me as a wee baby. Well, let's face it, you know, I was a wee baby. I spent the first 2 years of my life on a charm bracelet. Now, that's not exactly true, but if I told you the truth, you'd never believe me. Anyway, and she's very proud of me. Just as I was leaving tonight, she looked at me. Her face was radiant and her eyes were shining. I don't know what she's taking, but I wish I could get some of it. And she turned to my dad, who was sitting there sewing a button on his hat. Well, he's had a lot of worry lately. And she said, "Ty, Ty." She calls him Ty, you know, short for Titanic, because she thinks he's a bit of a disaster. She said, "Ty, Ty," she said, "can this be the same little boy who sang 'It's my mother's birthday today' and won the talent contest at the old Holborn Empire all those years ago?" And he said, "No, that was Max Bygrave." But I digress. And our hero, you remember, the chap who walked out on Doris Day, well, he has found himself cast ashore on this desert island, you see. 15 years later, he's sitting on the beach, all alone. Nothing but sand and the sea and the sky, you know. Sounds like a summer season at Cleethorpes, actually, but makes you wonder what he lived on for 15 years. Credit, I suppose, like the rest of us. So one day, he's sitting there on the beach with nothing but his roughly hewn bucket and spade and his 8 gramophone records, waiting for the tide to come in and fill his little moat. Suddenly, out of the sea, there appeared an apparition. And he was very, very frightened as it flapped its way up the beach towards him, you know. "My God," he said, "it's Ronnie Corbett's wife." No, he didn't. No, he didn't say that at all. I just put that in. I really must stop saying nasty things about my wife, you know. And, I mean, especially as today is our anniversary, I mustn't, you know. I mean, it's just 12 years ago today when she said, "I do." It certainly surprised me, because I didn't think she did. Anyway, when it gets nearer, I'm very glad she did. Anyway, when it gets nearer, no, it's not like that. And when it gets nearer, the apparition turns out to be a beautiful girl wearing a wetsuit, snorkel, and flippers. Well, she removes the snorkel and she says, "Hello," she says, "what are you doing here?" He said, "Well, actually, I'm a castaway." He got very, very humble about that. He said, "I'm a castaway on this desert island." And she said, "Oh, you poor man. Well, I never. Fancy that." Dog my cats. She didn't say that 4 times, actually, but I like saying it. Dog my cats, you poor man. How long is it since you had a cigarette? He said, well, actually, it's about 15 years. And I'm seriously thinking of giving it up. Starting tomorrow. Whereupon she unzips a pocket of a wetsuit. She's a very big girl. Anyway, and produced a packet of cigarettes. He was overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed, he said. There you are, I told you he was overwhelmed. And she said, Buster, you have seen nothing yet. The best is yet to come, she said. How long since you have a drinky winky? Well, she unzips the other pocket, you see. Produces a flask. You were making up your own stories. He produces a flask of his favorite whiskey. A tear sprung to his eye. Did I tell you he only had one eye? Doesn't matter, you know. Well, it matters to him, but it doesn't matter to us. This is marvelous. This is marvelous, she said. I haven't had a drink or a cigarette in 15 years. Then she started slowly to unzip the front of a wetsuit. She says, how long is it since you played around? He said, good heavens, don't tell me you've got a set of golf clubs in there. Where's the food, my dear? We seem to have been waiting an extraordinary amount of time. Honestly, this new butler, so damned erratic. Wait for hours, and all the food seems to come at once. He's damned impudent to boot as well. So
Oh, do you think so, dear? He's always very polite to me.
He may be to you, but he's damned impudent to me, dear. So...
Your game, milady?
I say, Blenkinsop, will you hurry along with my roast pork, there's a good soul, and make sure it's a nice fatty piece, will you? See that? Damn well ignoring me.
Don't make such a fuss. He's very efficient.
Maybe to you, dear, to me he's damned impudent.
You're fat, Milord.
See what I mean, dear? I shall have to sack him.
Steady on. We've enough servant trouble as it is. The handyman about to leave us, and the plumbing's in a terrible state.
Reminds me, dear, I must talk to you about the lavatories. They've all gone sort of all...
You're sweet, milady.
Oh, thank you, Blenkinsop.
You're nuts, Milord.
Cheeky swine. How am I supposed to open these?
You're crackers, Milord.
It does it, dear. Staff shortage or no staff shortage, he goes.
Well, you know best, dear. What were you saying about the lavatories?
They're broken, dear. Out of order. Up the spout, down the drain.
What? And we've sacked the handyman? How are we going to manage?
You're pale, milady. You're potty, Milord.
Well, that's all for this week. Next week, we'll meet a man who crossed a feather with a lady contortionist and got a girl who could tickle her own fancy.
And we'll talk to an interior decorator who crossed an elephant with an Axminster rug and got a big, thick pile on his carpet.
But now it's good night from me.
And it's good night from him. Good night.
Good night.